great problem is that he's been found guilty in a court of law.
Yeah,
Now, I don't know whether the Belgian courts are as good as British courts.
yeah, but Al, one of the people have said that he looks like he had the sort of colour of hair that as his son had, but they can't really go upon that, can they, really?
Well, they have done. It may well be that he's been made a scapegoat. There's no doubt, as far as I can see, from what I've read about the case, and obviously it's all edited versions we receive in Britain,
Yeah.
and pretty biased versions too, but from what I can see, there doesn't seem to be any argument that he was involved in some kind of fracas,
Yeah,
and that he actually used an iron bar during the course of that fracas.
Yeah, but Al...
No, well, have we agreed on that?
Yeah, alright, but there's a few people that have said that he used different sort of... There's different people have said he uses, like, angle iron bars and...
Well, Peter,
bars and L-shaped bars.
Peter, are you saying then that he didn't use an iron bar?
No, I'm not really.
Right, so we've agreed the facts of the case, in that degree at
All right,
least,
well,
that he was involved in a fracas and that he used an iron bar on somebody else.
But there's people saying that he uses...
No, we're not interested in what people are saying, Peter. I'm trying to find out what you think. Now, what do you think?
I don't think that they can prove that he's used such a thing. Alright,
So you reject the idea that he might have used an iron
no,
bar?
alright, he's used an iron bar. People...
So you do accept he's used an iron bar?
Well, I don't accept, but I'll concede that he used...
Peter, you either accept it or you don't, mate.
Yeah,
I don't want to
alright,
get you too confused.
I accept it then.
So you accept as the basic facts that this youth was involved in a fracas and used an iron bar during the course of that fracas?
Yeah, but
Right.
people have given evidence. Police, extraordinary people have given evidence that he's used different, like, shapes of iron bars. There's people that have given evidence of L-shaped iron bars and V-shapes and what have you, but there's no real evidence that he's used an iron bar, is there?
Did he say during the course of the trial, or was his defence based on the fact that he didn't use one?
I couldn't tell you that one.
You couldn't tell me. You seem to... It's amazing. You've got details of all the evidence given by people, and yet you haven't got details of his
No, but
defence.
It's been on the news today. All right.
Yes, I'm sure it's been on the news
but-
today. I saw it.
Will you just give me a minute, Alan, please?
Well, go on.
His mother and father have been on the news, and he has actually been on the news himself.
That's right.
And
I
he has
heard it.
And he has actually said that people have given evidence to say that he has used a U-shaped bar or an L-shaped bar, which is totally indifferent from each other. So how can he prove that he has used an iron bar at all to commit offences on people?
The question isn't that exactly. How can they? They have done. The court, having heard all the evidence in its contradictory way, according to the accused,
Yeah.
has decided that he was guilty.
Yeah, but Al, what really bugs me, is how can they accuse a Scouser of doing anything like that when Scousers aren't really that tough? Scousers are soft.
That's a very silly thing to say.
Why is it though, Al?
I don't know why it's silly. It's just
Can
silly.
you explain?
You're a very, very, very childish person. Go away. Hello, Rupert.
Hello, Alan. There's been a law passed in Parliament that says that a strike's only official if it's been decided upon by a secret ballot. Now, that law was passed under a parliamentary system that does not have secret ballots to pass laws, and I think that they should.
They don't have secret ballots to pass legislation, but the election of those people is by secret ballot.
Yeah, but I think the parliamentary system would be much better with a secret ballot because...
On the face of it, Rupert, on the face of it, that's a good idea. However, I think it is essential that MPs who've been elected by constituents should be seen when they cast their vote, so that the people who elected them know exactly how they've behaved and how they've voted. Because it may well be that you vote for a chap on the basis of a certain policy, and then he votes another way because really he doesn't believe it, he only said that to get your vote.
I see, Alan, are you going to come to Ulverston?
I'm actually coming to Barrow quite soon, sometime in February, I think. If you get in touch with an organisation in Barrow called CORE, C-O-R-E, I've forgotten their address, but if you get in touch with them, they'll tell you when and where. But I'm coming to Barrow to do a charity Argue with Alan in a nightclub some Sunday, I think, in either February or March.
Yeah, what age do you have to be to go?
I've no idea. You'll have to ask the club. All right?
Well, I was just thinking, you see, you could fill the Coronation Hall, but you'd have to lose a bit of weight to get some people in.
Ta-ra, Rupert.
Bye.
Preferred you when you were a bear. How do, Tim?
Do you like that?
It's very good, yes. Ta-ra.
Ta-ra.
How do, Jeremy? Hey, oh, Jeremy's gone. Never mind. Hello, Bonnie. Hello, Bonnie.
Hello, Bonnie.
No, that's you. My name's Alan. We seem to have a mixture here. Are you going to talk to us or not? It would seem not. Never mind, we don't miss you. Hello, Chris.
I'd just like to say...
I told you, nobody called Chris has got a voice that's broke. How do, John?
Hello, Alan.
Hello.
I've listened to your show now for about 5 months. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, I just wondered why you went so quiet just now.
I'm just listening. I can't talk and listen.
Oh, that's true. And I'd just like to say that I think you're self-opinionated and bombastic, and I love every minute of it.
Well, I think you're right.
Yeah.
You're wrong to like it, but you're right. Ta-ra. How do, Mark?
Hello, Alan?
Yes.
I'd like to talk about churches, please.
Go on.
Yes. Well, Adrian Church is dead.
Pardon?
Adrian Church is dead.
Dead what?
Meat.
Oh, I see.
By Nelly.
I see.
It's me again, you know.
What a prat. How do, Nigel?
Hello, Alan. I'd like to ask you a question.
Ask away.
Could you tell me the percentage of tissue damage caused by a 357 Magnum load, please?
No. Get one, stick the oil end in your mouth, pull the trigger, and I'll come round and measure it. How do, Dylan?
How do, Alan? I went into a dwelling today. Hello?
Hello.
Hello. Hello. I went into a dwelling today and purchased a cup of tea. I called the waiter over. I said, over?
Come here.
Yes, come here.
Yes, years old. Go on.
Yes, the waiter come over, and I said, why are flies swimming in my tea? And he says, ask Mr. Beswick. Which I am doing so.
And they were swimming in your tea because it was too deep to paddle. How do, Trevor?
Hi, hello.
Hello.
Hi, I want to talk about drinking drivers. See the way everybody goes on, you shouldn't drink and drive.
Yes.
You know, I've got my own method, right? Most people don't drink and drive. Most people drink in the pub and then they drive.
Yes.
So I think they should change their slogan, I don't drink and drive. Do you not think so?
And what should they change the slogan to?
I don't know, something different. It's daft saying, don't drink and drive, when they know fine well people only drinking with one hand and driving with the other.
Well, there aren't many that do that, although I have known it to happen. I do accept your point, but the idea about the slogan is that it's punchy and people remember it.
Aye, but they say don't drink, but see, and then they come
See, they don't really, I mean, if we really go into detail about this slogan, they don't mean don't drink. They're perfectly happy to have your drink. I drink quite a lot and drive. I drink tea and coffee and lemonade and Perrier water. They don't mean don't drink.
Aye, they don't mean drink alcohol.
So what you really want them to say is, do not partake of alcohol immediately prior to utilising a motor vehicle as the controllee.
That's it.
Wouldn't catch on, would it? You'd never catch on.
Aye, see, the police stopped me, right,
Yes.
a while back, just for a routine check, right, that says, sir, have you been drinking and driving? I says, no, I was drinking in the pub, now I'm driving.
I see. Did they take your licence away?
I did it,
Good. They should have put you in jail. I'll do Paul.
Hello, Alan. I'd like to talk, not so long ago, it was published that it's proposed that taxi cabs, ordinary everyday taxi vehicles, are going to be allowed for when they pick somebody up in the cab, along their journey, it will be allowed that somebody else could get in the taxi cab, and then it will proceed along its journey. Now, I think this will pose a lot of problems. The major problem is going to be late at night when, say, a young lady gets in the cab, driving along, another fella flags the cab, he gets in, drunk, maybe had a few too many, follows the girl, this kind of thing.
I've not heard recently of the proposal. I thought the proposal was made some years ago. I don't know whether it's, re-arisen, as it were. I rather thought it was dead and hoped it was dead, because I agree with you. I think it's a totally ludicrous idea.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, I've no knowledge of the... it's been proposed some time ago.
It was a long time ago, yeah.
But I know it has been recently proposed. I forget now where I did actually hear it. It was either papers or news. It was one of the two, but it is a proposal, as it were.
Could only be a politician that suggested that.
Well...
Might have been a taxi driver with a bit of greed.
Politicians, it's not really... I mean, it's more of a...
Yeah, but the taxi regulations are set out by politicians.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In each community, the local politicians, well, the local watch committees, as they used to be called, set out the rules and regulations for taxi operatives.
But I don't think they're taking into account these sinister possibilities.
There are sinister possibilities. There are also other possibilities. I quite honestly, if I purchase the right to use a cab, expect the exclusive right to use it. Mm-hmm. And I think anyone using a taxi wants to use it exclusively. I can see the advantages of it. The advantages are, A, we don't need as many taxis on the road. B, it might make taxis cheaper.
Yeah.
And C, it might mean you've not got to stand in the rain for so long waiting for a taxi.
But you've also got to bring into account the interests of the public at large.
Indeed you have. And I think overall it's a dangerous thing to do.
Well,
I virtually agree with you. But there is a lot of merit in the idea.
Oh, of course. Well, merit, to the taxi driver himself and to the public, of course. As you said, maybe the price will fall. Well, maybe not, actually.
No, it perhaps wouldn't fall, but it wouldn't, because nothing ever goes down in price, does it? But it wouldn't rise as quickly, because obviously they'd have more money per mile than they get at the moment. But anyway, hopefully the idea hasn't been, what should we say, resurrected recently.
Yeah. Well, I think if it does actually go through, I think there'll be petitions and all this kind of thing.
Well, petitions never work anyway, but hopefully it won't go through. All right?
Yeah. Okay,
thanks for your call. I'll do Stephen.
Shooty-bop-bop, shooty-doo-doo-doo-doo, shooty-bop-bop-bop.
Really does like those songs where the singer never remembers the words. Hello, Angela.
Hello. I'd like to make a comment about shops opening on a Sunday.
Feel free.
Well, I've worked in a shop for about 5 years. I don't work in one anymore. And I honestly don't see how a shop can expect to take more money because it's open 7 days a week. There's not more money going to be around. The only thing that's going to happen is the money's going to be spread out over 7 days.
Indeed. I think when it becomes normal for shops to be open on Sundays, it very definitely will do in the not-too-distant future. You're right. At the moment, there are certain shops that gain advantage by being open on Sunday when everyone else is closed. But fine, they're not going to increase their turnover by much, if at all.
So what's the point of doing it? Because they're just going to have to employ more staff, you would think.
The point of doing it, Angela, is to provide people with the service they want.
Yeah, but why should office workers and other people like that expect the right to go shopping 7 days a week when shop assistants would also like to have a weekend off?
Well, Angela, I'd give my eye teeth for a weekend off.
Yeah, so would many shop assistants.
Quite. So what we've got to say is that if you choose to work in any industry, you have to accept that that industry is only there, whatever the industry, is only there because of the customers.
Yeah, but...
Now, I work in the entertainment industry and our customers are there 24 hours a day. So we work 24 hours a day.
You knew that when you took the job.
Quite.
Many people who work in shops at the moment who've worked in them for many years.
Yes.
And, OK, they will get the option to work on a Sunday. But if they say no, it will be made extremely difficult for them to be happy.
But, Angela, are you suggesting that we hold up progress towards better service for customers for the sake of the staff?
I don't see as it will be better. I can't really see it.
Well, it can't be worse, can it, having a greater choice of the days you shop?
For some people, no. I mean, obviously for people who work Monday to Friday.
Well, no, a lot of people would like the idea of going shopping on a Sunday. I know of lots...
Anybody that's never worked in a shop would like that.
Well, Angela, the purpose of shops, this may come as a shock to you, but the purpose of shops is to sell goods to customers. It isn't to give staff jobs. Now, I do accept without any doubt at all that it won't be pleasant for shop assistants. It won't be pleasant at all. Tough. That's the real world.
Having building societies open on a Saturday and insurance brokers who all shut at 12 o'clock, they are also offering a service to customers.
Indeed they are,
Why aren't they open on a Sunday?
I think they should be. They damn well ought to be.
If somebody's got to do it on a Sunday...
Angela, I believe that everybody should work on a 7-day-week basis. I don't accept this idea that the world should close down on Friday night and reopen on a Monday. I've never accepted it. It is ludicrous. Totally and utterly ludicrous. And people who work in the service industries ought damn well to accept that they work in the service industries and provide some kind of service. Now, shopkeepers and shop assistants, in the main, are very serviceable and very, what should we say, useful when you go into the shop. An awful lot of them aren't, but the vast majority are there and they want to help you. There are some of them that are a pain in the neck and shouldn't be there.
The vast majority of customers are ignorant, loudmouthed pigs. But
absolutely, Sue. You don't have to be, Angela. You can leave.
I have left.
Good. But, Angela, I work in a service industry. That industry is there 24 hours a day, every day of the year.
Yeah, but you can say what you like to awkward people, can't you? Shop assistants can't. They've got to stand there and be nice.
Most of my colleagues can't. I'm lucky in that I've developed an on-air persona of doing so. But, Angela, I have always said what I've thought. And if people don't like it, they can lump it. And indeed, it has often been me that has had to lump it. I've been sacked from jobs for telling people that I didn't like them or refusing to creep and crawl to them. And I will no doubt be sacked from other jobs in the future for the self-same reason. You see, Angela, I believe you are only ever put upon by yourself.
I agree with you.
Never put upon by other people. I can meet 1,000 people a year who get up my snotter, and not one of them does. Because I just think, who are they?
Well,
Nothing.
I've done the right thing because I left them all right.
Excellent. Well, if you've left, maybe all the others of like mind will leave, and then the shop industry will replace them, and the industry will then be able to provide the 7-day service that the majority of its customers believe it should provide.
I don't agree with the majority there. I don't.
Every opinion poll, and there's no other way of measuring it, and I do accept the pitfalls and dangers of relying on opinion polls, but every opinion poll cast has actually come up with the decision that there should be 7-day shopping. And one of them was outside a Catholic church.
How many of those opinion polls have asked, shop assistants.
But I've already established, I thought, that the purpose of a shop isn't to give shop assistant jobs, but to satisfy the needs of the customer. I know a lot of shop assistants think it's to give them a job, but it isn't.
Well, you know, it's an office isn't necessarily...
Angela, do you use electricity on a Sunday? If you get run over on a Sunday, are you going to say, you can't be bothering the nurses on a Sunday? Are you bog? You're going to take those services the same as everybody else. Angela...
It's wrong to change a law on people who have already got those jobs. They should. They're not going to be given the option.
So, when in 1968 the breathalyzer was introduced, you think it should only have been introduced for those who couldn't drive at that time?
No.
No?
No.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were against laws being introduced that changed the status quo.
No, I'm not.
Oh, only in shops you're against it?
No.
You have a very selective justice.
No, I haven't. What I'm trying
Angela,
to say to you
what you
is
have
that
said,
these
you're not trying to say...
people will not be given the choice.
Angela.
They're in a job,
Angela.
and when they say, we don't want to work Sundays, they're going to be say, well, tough, get out. And where can they go in this day and age?
Angela.
What?
That happens all the time. Whenever there is a change in law, there are victims of that change. That is the real world. If we did not accept that any change in law will have its victims, there would never be a change in law. They could not be. I've just given you a ludicrous but a reality example. In 1968, I was a qualified driver. I was entitled to go out and drink a degree of alcohol without much risk of being accused of drunken driving. They introduced a piece of legislation that said I could then only drink and leave myself with a certain degree of blood, of alcohol in my blood. That was a change of law that affected a mass of people in this country. There were many, many victims of that change, and I'm glad it took place, and I'll be glad when the change takes place about shops, and people like Tommy Ball are allowed to open on a Sunday.
Well, I think the change in law for drinking and driving was right, but I think this one's wrong.
It's the same old story, Angela. The victims are always the ones that whinge, but they're quite happy to... They are quite happy.
I'm not a victim, so I'm not whinging.
You are whinging for and on behalf of, as one of their fellow sufferers, Angela. Go away, you silly woman. Hello, William. Thank you, William. I prefer your father, Charles. Hello, who? Hello, Binash.
Well, Alan, I'd like to talk about software copying on computers.
Go on.
I think it should be made legal in a sort of way because, I mean, having spent so much money on a software product, you should be able to swap it and stuff like that.
No, you should not. You don't buy the right to swap it.
No, I think you should be able to do stuff.
Why?
Because, spending so much money on...
Well, don't spend the money.
Well,
you have no right to purchase the ability to deal in a product. You only purchase the use of the product.
No, what I mean is you should be able to have that right.
Well, you shouldn't. Why should you?
Because having spent so much money, you want to swap,
Of course you want to swap games and things. But what about the people that sell them?
Well, having done that, that will stop, pirating and stuff like that.
No, it won't.
Yes, it will, because...
No, it won't. Pirating is done on a very small scale by individuals. It's a massive scale.
No, Alan, you got it wrong. Pirating is done, in some cases, in a very, very large scale, mass pirating.
So are you saying that? Well,
duplicating covers and everything,
Yes, I know. That is what... If you'd have allowed me to finish, you would have actually heard me say it is done on a very small scale by the individuals, but on a massive scale by organised crime. And those organised criminals are not going to change. When you go into the shop and you purchase your software, you are frequently purchasing a pirated software. So the fact that once you've purchased it, you're able to swap it with your friend won't make it less possible or less likely that when you buy it, it will be genuine or a fake. It won't affect that at all. It will only affect the decision to buy in the first place, and that will affect the original person, the guy that invented or created that particular software.
Yeah, but surely there must be a way where you can actually have, you can actually legalise controlled copying.
There is a way. There is already a way. There is already a legal way of controlled copying. It is called getting in touch with the holder of the copyright and getting their consent to copy it, and they will charge you for that.
On a small scale, a very small scale.
The problem is, when you say a small scale, do you mean just you, or do you mean everybody else like you? Then it becomes a massive scale.
Right, no, but there must be surely...
If you have game A, and your friend has game B, that means each of you have paid your whatever it is, let us say £10 for game A and game B, that's £20.
Yeah.
If you then swap them, the revenue received by the inventors of those programs has not increased. However, if the person owning game B then wishes to have game A, he or she has to go out and buy it. And that means the person that invented each of the games gets extra money. And that's what the business is about, making money.
I know. I mean, I write programs myself, and I actually, try to get them marketed and everything.
Well, when you've finally succeeded in getting a lot of them marketed, you'll be like everybody else, whinging about them as nick your copyright.
So. No.
You will do when it's costing you something like £1,000 a day.
Thanks a lot, anyway.
Pleasure. Ta-ra. We shall join Damien quite soon.
Fun evening, but if you think you're going to find out, I live at 90 Aybrook Street, and if you think I'm going to tell you my phone number's 7680122, and if you think you're going to drive me home when you've been drinking, shame on you. Luckily, I've been drinking Driver's Gin and Tonic flavours drinks. They're ultra low in alcohol, so I'll drive, shall I?
Drivers from Britvic let you enjoy drinking and driving home. Drivers from Allied Lions, a great British company.
This is a seasonal greeting from John Wilding. It's not a commercial. And to prove it, I won't mention the excellent range of cars that John Wilding would mention if this were a commercial, except to say that John has the full range of these cars that I'm not going to mention in stock for immediate delivery. There you are. Wasn't advertising, was it? So, from John Wilding, Ocean Garage, Dixon Road, Blackpool, and Banbury Garage, Morecambe, Merry Christmas and a Happy New Toyota. Oh, sorry, and a Happy New Year.
It's all happening at the Grand. Ship ahoy, me hearties. I'm Norman Prince from the Horton Weavers, announcing Trafford and Parnell's All Laughter Pantomime Robinson Crusoe at the Blackpool Grand Theatre, starting the 12th of December. Tony, David, Jeff and myself all star in this tune-filled, fun-packed pantomime, along with the ever-popular Tommy Trafford playing Dame Crusoe, and the lovely Linda Lee Lewis playing the traditional damsel in distress, Polly Perkins. So come on, mums and dads, tell the kids and sit thee down this Christmas in the Blackpool Grand Theatre and enjoy this season's all-laughter pantomime Robinson Crusoe. For full details and prices, either call in person or telephone the box office at the Blackpool Grand Theatre, telephone Blackpool 28372. It's all happening at the Grand.
How do, Damien?
Hello, Alan. I'd like to talk about the importance of the anus.
I'm sure you would. It's very important to you. It's important to most people. Without it, they would burst. How do, Mark?
Hello, Alan. I'm just thinking about how much all this drinking and driving costs, what in all the police, the ambulances, and what all the hospitals have to do, how much money it'll cost. Don't you think it'd be a good idea that when a car comes into this country to put in a device in the car, like an intoximeter, which you've got to blow into before the car will start?
What a lovely idea. It's an excellent idea. A far better idea would be just to equate the cost of, if you like, the resultant cost of misuse of alcohol and take the money off the breweries. Just go to the breweries and say, OK, £27,000 million last year was spent by this country because of people misusing your product. So between you, we want £27,000 million. They'd all go bankrupt and we'd be out the game. It'd also mean the Tory party had collapsed because they wouldn't get all the money they get off the breweries.
Yeah, Len, I was wondering if there's anyone listening to the programme now who's involved with cars or anything, whether to put this idea through. You know, surely it would be a much better idea.
I'm not sure. I mean, I've got this... How would it work? Tell me about it.
No, when you get into the car, like, you've got to blow into a tube.
Yes.
Which goes to this, whatever they use at these police stations.
It goes to the police station?
No, what they use at a police station, something similar.
Oh, I see, an intoximeter, yes. Yes, you have one in the motor vehicle,
And
yes.
it governs how much alcohol the driver has consumed.
Yes.
And if there's too much in his system, the car just refuses to start.
Right. That's an excellent idea. So every time I had to start my car, I'd have to blow into a tube.
Well, yeah, if you put it in some convenient place. I'm not suggesting, you put it in an awkward place, but somewhere like...
Well, where would you like to put it?
Somewhere like where the seatbelt is.
Where the
You get into
seatbelt?
the car, you blow into it,
Right.
and they presto.
And that decides whether the car will go or not.
Yeah.
Do you know how much they cost, these things?
Yes, I've thought about that.
How much do they
I've
cost?
thought, like,
How much do they cost?
Well, they must cost thousands.
They must. I
Well-
see. So you're quite happy to have thousands put on the price of every car?
No, but 5 years ago, these computers were thousands of pounds. And look how much they've reduced in price now.
Oh, so you think they'll become cheaper?
Yes, sure,
Right.
some development work was done.
Yes.
In the long run, it'd work out much cheaper.
Well, it's certainly an amazing idea. I'm not sure that it's awfully practical, but it's an incredible idea anyway. All right?
Right, thanks.
Thank you. The mind boggles. Hello, Stuart.
I do, Alan. I like to talk about football violence.
Go on.
Well, I think that when football violence, it's because that there's television companies that are showing it on TV.
Well, that's a bit ludicrous, because there's frequently football violence on games not covered by television.
I know, but since it's not been on television this year, violence has gone down.
Violence has gone down this year, but that's got a lot to do with the new rules at football grounds, I suggest, such as the alcohol ban has got a lot to do with that, rather than the lack of television cameras.
Well, I think a lot of them, they've gone over to rugby league, because that's where I go to, and I always get battered up there.
Do you?
Yeah.
Well, why don't you stop going, you fool?
I don't know, because I like it.
You like getting battered up?
Well, it's all the Warrington, like, where you come from.
I see. Well, I don't watch rugby league, so you can't offend me in that way. But do you play Warrington every week, or are you just a liar?
No, when we have played Warrington...
Oh, I see. You said you get battered every week. Now you mean just when you play Warrington. Stuart, you've been found out. You're an immature little liar. Go away. Hello, Carl.
Hello, Alan.
Well?
I'd like a bit of advice off you. What it is, someone purchased a watch for me as a present, and it's actually faulty. No, they took it back.
There's someone that purchased it to take it back, right?
Yeah,
What happened?
They took it back and they said it's not faulty.
Thereby hangs the tale. All you've got to do is prove that it is faulty. That's all you can do. It's a dispute of fact, not of law. Go back and say it is.
The Midnight News, this is Alan King. The New Year's Honours List has just been issued by Buckingham Palace. Sportsmen and women are prominent among the awards, with MBEs for jockey John Frankham, who's been National Hun Champion 7 times, for world record-breaking athlete Steve Cram, fellow runner Kathy Cook, and the former world water skiing champion Liz Hobbs. There's an OBE for the veteran actress Beryl Reid, and a knighthood for Gordon Rees, the public relations man who advised Mrs Thatcher to lower her voice and soften her hairstyle. 3 backbench Conservative MPs have also been knighted. They're Richard Boddy, Adam Butler and Trevor Skeet. And 5 people who worked to rescue and treat the victims of the fire at Bradford Football Club in May have all been honoured in the list. They include plastic surgeon David Sharp, who worked round the clock on dozens of badly burned patients. He says his OBE is an honour for the whole medical team.
Well, I was very excited at first, and then I thought, I hope everyone else has got one, because I felt that it was very much a team effort. But of course I realised that not everyone else can get one. I feel, in a way, that I'm receiving it on behalf of the team in Bradford, because it was very much a team effort. I was merely doing what I was paid to do.
Downing Street have rejected criticism that pop star Bob Geldof has not been honoured for his work raising money for the starving in Africa. They point out that Mr Geldof is Irish, and Mrs Thatcher is therefore unable to recommend him for a British honour. New Year party revellers are being warned to stay away from a popular savoury snack after complaints that they've induced sickness and diarrhoea. The Marks & Spencer's vol-au-vents, marketed under the St Michael brand, have been called in by the company, and an appeal has gone out for people not to use them. Here's Mike Rowbottom.
Marks & Spencer say tens of thousands of the vol-au-vent have been sold, and while most have probably already been eaten, some are still likely to be lying in people's freezers waiting to be consumed tonight. The company says they feel a moral obligation to call all the packs of 12 in. They come in 3 flavours: prawn, cheese and ham and mushroom. And the St Michael quality control people say they've been undercooked. They've already caused sickness and diarrhoea, and if not reheated properly, they could result in a very unhappy new year. So people are advised to take them back or destroy them.
Irish Foreign Minister Peter Barry has had surprise talks in London with Northern Ireland Secretary Tom King about the hunger strike at Belfast Maze Jail. After their meeting, the two men said the fast by men convicted on the evidence of a supergrass was a wrong and wasteful way of trying to change the use of informers in terror trials. Meanwhile, 550 extra soldiers are being sent to the border areas of Northern Ireland to protect workers facing IRA death threats for repairing police bases damaged by terrorists. It's the first time in 4 years that reinforcements have been dispatched to the province and follows 6 attacks on IUC stations in the past month. Ulster Secretary Tom King.
There has been a recent campaign before Christmas of attacks on police stations along and close to the border, which has raised particular problems. I said straight away that this threat would be met and that we would respond to it, and therefore we've taken this action, which is a positive response, to send in a further battalion, which will help to safeguard police stations and also help to give additional protection while those police stations that have been damaged are repaired.
Independent Radio News.
3.5 minutes past midnight. Welcome to New Year's Eve. The last day of 1985 has just begun. I'm with you till 2 o'clock. I spend the first 2 hours of New Year's Eve working, but the last 2 hours not working, and indeed the first 24 hours of New Year's Day I shall not be... No, it's not 24. The first... 12. First 12 hours of New Year's Day not working either. All that means that I'm not on tomorrow night, but I am on New Year's Day at lunchtime between 12 and 3. And then I'm not on New Year's night, but I am on Thursday. Confused? Don't worry. So am I.
Red Rose Radio.
If you want to join us on the phone in, the number is Preston 561,000. How do, John?
There.
Thank you, John. How do, Colin?
All right, Alan. I want to talk about the Granada programme that was on.
It's a bit unfair with me, isn't it? I didn't see it.
It's been advertised quite a few times now.
Well, I still haven't seen it. I have it on video. I shall watch it tomorrow.
The light and heat appeal.
Oh, that?
Yeah.
Not even heard of it.
I think it's very well. It's new.
It's the Granada Reports thing, and what's the programme they have on in the daytime? That other thing.
Yeah, well, it's been on at 6 o'clock.
Yes.
And they've been having a collection for people who can't afford the gas and electric and that. I think it's a bit sad that we live in a time that. We have to have these collections for people who can't afford the gas and what have you, when a government who is spending millions on nuclear weapons. I think it's, But
Colin, surely you accept that there will always be poor people. Their level of poverty may change, but the people at the bottom of the social pile will always be regarded as the poor people, and there'll always be collections amongst the better off people to help them.
Yeah, the idea of collecting it's a good idea, some kind of help to, especially for pensioners.
Yes, but Colin, the point I'm trying to get you to look at is, yes, it is unfortunate that this government spends a lot of money on nuclear weapons and not so much money by comparison on social services and the like. But even if all the money that went on nuclear weapons was put into social resources or was made available to social sources, there would still be people at the bottom of the social pile.
Yeah, but this government makes it worse, doesn't it? Because the actual people involved, the electricity board and the gas board, they've made it clear that they didn't want the money to go up, you know, the cost of the fuel, and the government's told them to put it up. It's almost as though they want to make the poor people poorer again, you know.
But when you put electricity up, my electricity goes up as well. I can hardly be described as a poor person.
Yeah, but if anyone who's in a position where they're working or they have a job, then there's no problems. But when people are unemployed and people, say, old-age pensioners who are struggling to keep warm, in fact, there's cases where people are dying of hypothermia. They're scared to put the gas on.
Well, when you say there are people dying of hypothermia, I've not heard of any cases this year, have you?
Well, I haven't, no.
No, well, let us... You see, I'm all in favour of knocking the government. That's one of the things governments are for. But knocking them with a pack of untruths is, I think, a little untoward at best.
Well, what's untrue about
Well, you've just said that people... You've just said people dying from hypothermia.
Well...
There haven't been any yet this winter.
No, but there are
So
people...
don't make it up.
No, but I think you'll agree...
And there is no need in our society for people to die from hypothermia.
No, but I think you'll agree, Alan, that people are struggling to keep warm.
Colin, I will agree.
People bottom of the list.
I will agree that people are struggling to keep warm. I will agree that it is difficult living on a limited income, particularly if that limited income is, for example, retirement pension or supplementary benefit. It's damn near impossible to live on it.
Well, therefore, when we come to, you know, the weather what we've had now, this is the time when people who cannot afford to put up the, to put the heating up, they struggle to keep warm.
I accept all of that, Colin.
So this puts pressure on the people who...
What do you want to happen, Colin?
Well, I think everything's upside down, personally.
Just tell me what you want to happen.
There's no way. This government are guilty of spending money on things...
the previous government, which was at that time a Labour government, wasn't exactly what could be described as the poor people's benefactor. People died of hypothermia then.
No, but we wouldn't have a...
What do you mean, no? People did die of hypothermia then.
No, what I'm saying is, I'm not worrying about Labour, Liberal or Conservative. I don't care who's in. I'm just saying that if we had another government in now, I know Labour have said if they ever got in, they wouldn't spend money on nuclear weapons. So we'd have all that money, and it's millions, billions as well. And they're now even going into Star Wars. I don't know how much money they're going to spend.
But Colin, again, we have to consider whether the public would elect such a body. You see, at the moment, well, let's just deal with what we've got. Let us not talk about what might happen in the future. Let's deal with what we know to have happened in the past and we know to be happening currently. We have a government at the moment with a massive majority under our electoral system.
Yeah, well, electoral system is stupid, isn't it?
Oh, I see. So you want to change the government, you want to change the electoral system. It seems to me, Colin, that the only way to satisfy you was to send you somewhere else.
No, I'm just saying...
You want to live in another country. You don't like the electoral system in this one. You don't like the results of the electoral system in this one. Colin, let me finish. We have, in power at the moment, a government with a massive majority. That government was elected on a basis of a nuclear defence. It spends a lot of money on defence. The Tory party is traditionally the friends of the military.
I bet you if they put that the nuclear arms towards the people, everybody in this country, if they had to vote on whether they'd throw it out, I bet you it'd be thrown out.
Well, Colin, all I can do is say to you that it was an issue in the last general election.
Yes, I know that.
And they were elected with a massive majority.
Yeah, I know.
So I think your bet, and I'm not a gambling man, is a weak one.
Yeah, but...
I'm sorry. I am a paid-up active member of the campaign for nuclear disarmament, and I know in my soul that the majority of people in Britain are in favour of the existence of nuclear weapons. That sickens me and saddens me.
Well, it saddens me as well.
But it's a fact, and in a democracy we end up in a situation where the majority have the rule of the minority, and I defend that majority. I defend that system.
I think it's more important for human life and to look after people who are in a position where I'm not saying that they're
Colin,
dying.
we're going to be discussing this all night because you make these bland statements, these ludicrous statements that take in 35 different options. You say you think it is more important to have comfortable people. Fine. More important than what? Their life?
No, more important than nuclear weapons.
Well, just a moment. Colin.
Weapons to kill people.
Yes, they are there to kill
point
people.
in spending billions of pounds on something that is only destructive.
Colin, the belief is that if you did not have those nuclear weapons, you would be overrun by a foreign power, and that foreign power would then treat everybody like the pensioners are being treated by this government, or even worse. In Russia, listen...
What foreign power is going to take over Britain just because we haven't got nuclear weapons?
There's a place called Poland you may have heard of, Colin, and somebody came on this phone in the other night telling us about their auntie that lives in Poland and queued on Christmas Eve for 2 hours for a loaf of bread.
Well, you know...
They're governed by... Yes, it is another point, Colin. The point I'm trying to get you to consider, and your brain doesn't seem able, for reasons of your own, to consider, is that people in this country believe that nuclear weapons should exist, because if they do not exist, we would become a subdivision of Russia and all that entails. Now, whether that is a ludicrous thought or not is really irrelevant. That is what the people believe in their majority. That is why we have nuclear weapons. Yeah. That is why we have the massive resources wasted in your view and my view, but used in the view of the public wisely in protecting this community from overrun, giving us the right to ill-treat our elderly, if you like.
Yeah. Well, I think it's just a sad world we live in when the things are going the way they're going.
Well, Colin, it will only be a happy world when you stop thinking such miserable things. Campaign for a progress by all means, but don't say it's a sad world. It's a fantastic world. It's so great in this world that the majority of people are quite prepared to stop in it.
Yeah, it is a happy world and a good world for those who can afford to live in it. But for those who are in a position where they're being pressed down further all the time by a fascist government.
They are not a fascist government, Colin. This government is not fascist. This government is right-wing. This government was elected. You are an ignoramus if you believe it is a fascist government. There is only one thing worse than a Tory, and that is a bloody socialist. How do, Phil?
Hello, Alan. I'd just like to say about Warrington, you know, as they say they've got the worst set of fans in the league.
I don't care about all this sport garbage. Get it off your chest and get off this programme.
Well, I think Saints have the worst fans.
Thank you. There, we've got it out of the way. That is the last comment we will have of that ilk on this programme today. Hello, Tim.
Hello, Al.
Yes?
Is it true you come from Latford in Warrington?
No.
No?
No.
Oh.
Oh.
Did you used to go Botwell High School?
No. It was a grammar school at the time. I was in Warrington and I didn't go to it.
Did you not used to live in Latford?
I've already answered that question.
Oh, I've heard you did.
I don't care what you've heard. You've now heard it direct from me.